bomb atomically. Socrates' philosophies and hypotheses can't define how I'll be dropping these mockeries, lyrically performed on robbery. All right, we in this thing. You are now watching Juke Boy Sports Show. I'm your host, Kyng Ralph. Ready for another high quality, high product, high energy sports show today. But before we get started, got a lot to get into today. But before we get started, we're going to do a podcast like what you're watching, music video, photo shoot. Call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fit Boxer. And then if you're looking for a clean, jitterless, no crash energy drink, get on your laptop or your phone, type in DUBBY.com, W.com, use promo code JUK for 20% off. And make sure you go like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. Follow the He Say, She Say channel on Facebook for now. I am in the process of trying to get everything switched over to JUK Network. Keep things a little bit more uniform. But until I get 100 followers, I won't be able to go live on Facebook. Something that they changed recently. So for now, follow the He Say, She Say channel, but also follow JUK Network, JUK Network on Facebook. Help us get to 100 followers, and then at that point, I'll be able to go live from there. And then at the same time, make sure you go on JUK Network and subscribe on YouTube. Trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year as well. Got to set your goals and go after them, y'all. But also, make sure you go follow us at JUK Sports Show, JUK Sports Show on Instagram. You can follow me at KYNGRALPH on Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, at an _ for X or Twitter. And let's get into it, y'all. We got the Juke Boys NFL Power Rankings wrapping up Week 10. And this one's a little tough because you had some teams that are just a little bit playing a lot better football right now. And hold up real quick because I feel like I'm really zoomed in. And I don't know how I feel about it. All right. There we go. Back up a little bit. Back up. Move. But all right, let's get back into it. Hold up. Let's zoom just like slightly. All right, cool. We're good. I feel like we were just way too close. Hope y'all good, though. But at 10, let's get it started. At 10, we got the Los Angeles Chargers coming in at 10, 6-3 right now, playing really good football. Defense is playing well. They're running the ball. And Justin Herbert's doing a good job of not turning the ball over. The one thing for me is why I feel like this offense is it's going to hit its cap, its ceiling at one point, is what we're used to seeing Justin Herbert and why we believe Justin Herbert was in that next class of top 5 quarterbacks or top 10 quarterbacks was his ability to throw the football. And right now, when you look at it, he's throwing the ball about 20 times a game. And he hasn't had too many games where he's thrown for I don't think he has thrown for 300 yards this year. And it just looks like a little different. And I feel like there's a balance between what we'll be able to see going next year when they get wide receivers into that building. For right now, Ladd McConkey is their top wide receiver right now. Johnston from last year is their number 2. And then they got a bunch of just mid, to be respectful as possible. And so right now I got them in at 10. I got the Packers in at 9, playing really good. They're playing really good, but they haven't really wowed me yet. I think in the end, I expect them. There's halfway through the season almost, or just a little bit past halfway through the season. So I expect them to get better and work their way up. I would expect them to be a team as good as the Commanders are playing. I'm not 100% sure when it comes to the playoffs, but I expect the Packers to be in that running when it comes to being in. I expect them to win their first round and get to the second round as well as the NFC Championship game. And so I got them in at 9. I'm trying to remember who I had at 8. I got the Vikings, Minnesota Vikings, on a little bit of a downward spiral. They got a victory this past weekend. I just don't, like I said, I've been saying all year, I just don't trust Sam Darnold. So in the end, yes, you got Justin Jefferson who's going to ball out. The defense is playing really well. Flores is making his case and was speaking earlier, not earlier this week, but once the weekend finished, I think earlier today, or if not yesterday, he was asked about the given the opportunity, will he try to coach it, be a head coach again? And he's making his case for it. Defense is playing really good football. The one thing is, can Sam Darnold be enough and do enough to be able to beat the Lions, beat the Eagles, or beat San Francisco when it comes down to it? And so at 7, I brought them up. Washington Commanders coming off of a loss against the Steelers. They're 7-3 right now. I think that ultimately, when it comes down to it, is they're a really good football team. They're a little bit, I think they have really good coaching, but I don't think that they have the players to be able to go up against some of the best teams in the league. And so in the end, for me, I feel like they're only going to be so good when it comes to the playoff implications. But for now, I got them in at 7. Jaden Daniels is having a phenomenal football season, rivaling right there with C.J. Stroud in some of the games that he's played, although he is coming off a loss, but he played a really good defense, put up 28 points, and lost by 1 in the end. And so I got them in at 7. So far, recap, I got Chargers 10, Packers at 9, Vikings at 8, Commanders at 7. And you know how I get down. If you watch the show, you know my history. You know how I'm always going to go when it comes to head-to-head matchups. It's hard for me to put you above someone that you lost to, especially coming off of the weekend that you did lose. And so I got the Steelers in at 6. Russell Wilson's been doing enough to where the move to put him at quarterback makes sense. Coming up against a good game. They got a good game coming up this week where I believe they play the Ravens, because I've seen Mike Tomlin talking spicy, and I like it because he told no lies at the end of the day. And but I might get into that a little later. But I got Steelers at 6, really good defense. Pickens, the addition of Mike Williams, he scores a touchdown his first game with the Steelers. Russell Wilson has been able to make those throws that Justin Fields struggled to make. The only thing with him is, which has always been his issue, is holding on to the football for too long. 1, 2, 3, get it out. Just get it out. Get the ball to your playmakers and allow them to do what they get paid to do. And so right now I got the Steelers at 6. Eagles making their comeback. I got them in at 5. They're just right now clicking. Defense is playing well. Was very opportunistic this past week although it was against the Cowboys. But A.J. Brown, Tay, or Smitty, whatever you want to call him. And then Saquon, Jalen Hurts playing good football, looking healthy. I like this team. I think that offensively it's going to be difficult to stop them, but that defense can't be had. So in the end, the Eagles just got to make sure that the offense has to make sure that they don't shit the bed. But in the end, I think the Eagles are a really good football team right now. Got them in my top 5. And so we are going with the Buffalo Bills in at 4. And Josh Allen's just being able to hold this thing together. The defense is playing well, has a bunch of good young wide receivers, got the addition of Amari Cooper. And now you at least have your guy or a guy who can go out there and beat one-on-one coverages, especially up against some of the better corners. And so heck of a route runner, Josh Allen, although struggled a little bit when it came to 2 interceptions, but he did have the 1 rushing touchdown. So he's still been able to make enough plays to get the victories. But can he do it against some of the better teams? Playing against a team I haven't mentioned yet, coming up on this next week. So we'll see how good the Bills are when they go up against the Chiefs. And so at 3, I got the Baltimore Ravens. right now, some of their losses are just really bad losses to where it's hard to put them as good as that offense is and Lamar is playing. Is I can't put them above the Lions and the Chiefs when they have losses against the Browns and the Raiders. And so Baltimore Ravens in at 3, Lions in at 2. Shout out to Jared Goff doing some stuff that I do on Madden. I've only seen on Madden. How you could throw 5 picks and still get a W is crazy to me. But that team going into this week was beating people on average 14 points a game. And so if they would have had a stronger showing, I probably could have seen myself putting them above the Chiefs. But in the end, they barely won. Chiefs barely win. So they break even, and Chiefs are still undefeated at number 1. Of all the years, I feel like this is the year in which they can be had when it comes to the playoff times. But when they need it, they make a play and they get the W. And so, regardless of what you feel and what you see on tape, how you feel about the Chiefs, I hate the Chiefs. It's hard to even with an undefeated season so far to be able to put them at anything less than 1. And so to wrap it up, I got the Chargers at 10, Packers at 9, Vikings at 8, Commanders at 7, Steelers at 6, Eagles at 5, Buffalo Bills at 4, Baltimore Ravens at 3, Lions at 2, Chiefs at 1. And this week's going to be a good week because Bills go up against the Chiefs, Ravens go up against the Steelers, and those are just the ones that I know off the top of my head. And it's as we get further and further into the season, it's one of those things where, like, specifically, like the Bears is my next topic. It's going to be tough for them because they got the Lions twice, Vikings twice. No, I think they got the Vikings twice, Lions twice, Packers twice, and they play like the Steelers or the 49ers. I think they play the 49ers. And it's just one of those things that going further into the year, I think they're saving some of the divisional games to where it has more of a playoff implication. And I kind of like that. And so I mentioned it before, wrapping up the power rankings. So my man's, dang, I forget his name, Shane Strawlin, offensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears. I don't say Buffalo Bears. Chicago Bears let go. Ultimately, I believe this is the correct decision, which isn't the question, but I'm going to get to that in a second. But I do believe this is the correct decision. I think right now the defense is playing good football, keeping them in a lot of games. And so Matt Eberflus, which he's a defensive coach, and that's the side of the ball that he's in control of, although he has a defensive coordinator as well, I still feel like the defense is playing and doing its job. So I don't feel like he needs to be relieved of his job. Now, in the end, when it comes to the end of the season, that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But I think the things that you do, you come in where you, from an offensive standpoint, position players, you put a lot of pieces around Caleb Williams to where the offense should start to look better as the year goes by. And I feel like he had a rough couple games, had some really good games, had the bye week, and has went downhill ever since. And so I think that this is the right decision. Now, do I expect improvement? I do expect improvement from this standpoint. Eberflus, when he talked about it, he talked about Thomas Brown and liking that Thomas Brown when it comes to his offenses, because he was the pass coordinator for the Chicago Bears this year, was the offense coordinator for the Panthers. So low key is his fault that the Bears, not a Bears fan, but I'm from Chicago, so I'm gonna say we in a sense. But it's his fault that the Bears got the number 1 pick and got Caleb in the first place. So then he comes over to Chicago as the pass coordinator. Strouling gets fired, and now he's the offensive coordinator. And I think that when you start to see the times in which Caleb plays well, while also just being a rookie. Make it quick on him. Like, I know he was Patrick Mahomes esque coming out of college, but he doesn't have the speed and agility on an NFL level to be able to do the things that he was doing in at USC and at Oklahoma or in college. And so I just feel like quick game, quick game. You got man beaters on in DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze is a big body guy that you'll be able to throw a lot of jump balls to. So I feel like in the end you have pieces. DeAndre Swift. When the Bears are winning, DeAndre Swift is very involved in the offense as well. So do I expect improvement? I feel like yes, because at the end of the day, I don't feel like the offense is getting pretty bad. They were 30th in the NFL when it came to total offense. And Caleb Williams just started looking more and more terrible as the weeks went by. And I feel like this move needed to be made because Jaden Daniels is balling. Drake May just beat the Bears this past week, 19-3. Bo Nix has, for the most part, made me look wrong on my prediction of whether or not he would be a good NFL quarterback. And J.J. McCarthy looked good before he got hurt. So of all of the quarterbacks that have been around or that came in this year, outside of what was my man's that played and that got drafted by the Falcons, Caleb Williams looks the worst. And that's the thing for me when it comes down to it. It's hard to put him in these conversations where he's the one he had the most hype and he's supposed to be the next best thing since sliced bread, and he looks terrible. So in the end, do I expect him to improve? Yes, because I feel like they hit rock bottom. But at the same time, what are you really expecting from them at the end of the day? And so, like I mentioned, they play. I think they have 2 games apiece against every rival or every in division game. They play the 49ers, and they have just a tough schedule. I don't see it getting any better. This is one of those things where I felt like they should have drafted Joe Alt when they had the opportunity, or I believe there was another offensive lineman they could have got, but they chose to take Roma Dunze, which was just an embarrassment of riches or a piece for him to grow with, a wide receiver that you could have for the long term. And so my man's Micah Parsons was asked about the future of the Dallas Cowboys, and in quotes, kind of paraphrasing low-key, but was asked about Mike McCarthy and the future of the Cowboys. And in quotes, that's above my pay grade, whether or not Mike will be our coach next year. He goes on to say Mike can leave and go wherever he wants, but for him, he feels bad. For some of the veterans, some of the guys like Zach Martin, some of the legends of the Cowboys who've been putting in work. And I don't personally feel like his statement was out of line until the last statement, the last part of it, where he goes on to say he wants to win games for Zach Martin, for guys that put in more work than Mike ever did. And I think when you catch someone after a game, they might not be thinking and have the correct words and put them in the right way they should be the right message to be conveyed. And so I feel like what he's saying in the end is this season is not going the way that we expected. And I feel bad for guys like Zach Martin, who this is probably his last year, if not next year. Dak is out for the rest of the year. Bland hasn't played all season. And it's like, yeah, Mike McCarthy, whether or not he gets fired or not, he's going to coach here. He's going to coach somewhere else. I doubt that this is his last opportunity to coach anything, but I feel bad for the guys who may not get this opportunity again. And that's the guys that you want to win championships for. And that's the part for me where I don't feel like he was out of line until he got to the part where this is the part that you can take and make it a dig. And I feel like at the end of the day, that's why Marshawn Lynch didn't want to speak to the media, is they're going to take that little small thing and flip it into a big thing. And this was just easy ammunition for you to be able to take and flip it in a way to where he's talking in a negative way about Mike McCarthy. And so some more in-house fighting. Deebo was seen after, I forget his first name, but Moody, their kicker for the 49ers, missed 3 field goals in a row. And thinking about it is just like, as a person that plays sports, it's like, all right, cool. And the way that Deebo plays. So Deebo plays like a low-key running back. So he's working his ass off getting up the field. They get up the field, they get a field goal. He misses one. I bet. Whatever. It happens. They're not robots. So you do it again. Bang, bang, bang. More hits, gets up the field again. Second field goal missed. And it's like, all right, like, how do you miss that? Then it's like you get a third one. It's like, all right, I'm tired of this shit, bro. So, like, I don't feel like he's overboard for saying anything at all. Me personally, I genuinely don't have a problem with any of it from a competitive standpoint. Like me, I was raised in a different generation where us putting hands on each other is not the end all be all. We can scrap it out, apologize about it. Best man won, go about your day. It's not the end of the world. Where I feel like in this generation, the fact that he put his hands on, I think his name was Tabor Pepper, the long snapper. He's yelling at the kicker. The long snapper tries to jump in. Some words were exchanged. He pushes him. Really, it was more of a push in the neck area than it was a punch or him trying to hit him in the throat type of thing. And so, do I think he went overboard? I don't think that he went overboard because I just genuinely think that holding the kicker accountable, like, bro, we don't have the best record right now. I think they're 5-4 right now. They just got McCaffrey back. They've been riddled with injuries and trying to stay afloat. And we're playing against the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield is playing good football, keeping them in games. And you missed 3 field goals in a row. I need you to play better. And then for Buddy to jump in between, it's like, bro, I'm not even talking to you. So I could see where it's like, bro, get the fuck out of my face. I'm not even talking to you. But in the heat of battle, I don't blame him, and I don't think that he went overboard. Maybe that's just me, my old-ass opinion. And so with the time I got left, we're going to go into the 2-minute drill. And I'm on Twitter, and I've been a major person that says that people on Twitter are just crazy. And so someone's posting about Paige Beckers and the year that she's about to have, the game that she just had. People are throwing shots at how old she is. Mind you, she's the same age as Caitlyn Clark. So it's not like if Caitlyn Clark was too old to be playing with 18-year-olds last year, and she literally just got done playing with them back in April or March, why is Paige Beckers now too old to be playing in college now? I don't completely understand. I feel like people's biases have them going crazy. But it led me to the question of people were trying to say that Caitlyn Clark is so good, she has no rivals. And that's the part for me that I'm like, that's cap. Because as a person that's followed women's basketball for some time, we didn't get to this point of Caitlyn Clark and the name that she has. Yes, people were talking about her from if you knew basketball, people were talking about her. But the casual fan did not start talking about Caitlyn Clark until maybe at the earliest, the Elite Eight of two years ago, where she goes like this as she's walking past Haley Van Lith. The next game after that, she goes like this to a South Carolina player who's wide open about to shoot a brick. And then the game after that, that's when Angel Reese is doing the pointing, hand waving, and the shit talking. And now we have this Larry Bird, Magic Johnson type race rivalry when it comes to women's sports. And so now you have Paige Beckers, who's someone that plays her position, who had all of the hype that Caitlyn Clark had at a younger age, blew her knee out, and is now working her way back to where she's now can be a rival and competitor to Caitlyn Clark. Then I've been talking about Juju Watson for the last couple weeks, if not the last year. The way that she plays, she's the next coming of of greatness coming down the pipeline. I feel like if Caitlyn is Larry Bird and Andrew Reese is Magic Johnson, then Juju is Michael Jordan. And so, who is the best player in women's college basketball? Wait, hold up. That was not supposed to be the conversation. Wait a minute. Did I not put that in here? Oh, it's supposed to be, does Caitlyn Clark have a rival yet? And I feel like right now in her career, when it comes to just storylines and lifting up the game, you can't deny that Angel Reese is not her rival. Regardless of whether or not Angel Reese is as good a player as Caitlyn Clark is, or CC, whatever you want to call her, she is a rival because when they play, people tune in. Regardless if it's college, Iowa versus LSU, Caitlyn Clark is here, Angel Reese is there. They do numbers as individuals. Now, is Angel Reese's numbers is the same ilk of Caitlyn Clark? No. But it still makes a difference. That seeing, as a person from Chicago, seeing the jersey sales attendance of the Chicago Sky before Angel Reese got there to where they are today, there's a difference that you can't point and just say, oh, it's because Caitlyn Clark is in the W right now. And so from a storyline standpoint, Angel Reese is that rival right now. Now, when it comes to next season, where Paige ends up getting drafted to, from a matchup standpoint of this player versus this player, I don't see any way why she ends up not being a rival. It just depends on how good is Paige Becker's team that she ends up getting drafted to. Because in the end, people try to sit there and act like Caitlyn Clark was this savior. But in the W, and I talked about this last week with Tar, is if you get a couple number one picks in a row and get some right additions, you can flip things around in a 2-3 year span. So last year, they drafted Aaliyah Boston at number one pick. You get Caitlyn Clark and you have Kelsey Mitchell, who now you got a big three that can go up against a lot of teams' big threes, and now that's why you're in the playoffs. And so all Paige needs is to go to the right situation with the right team that already has pieces around her, and automatically she's a rival because they play the same position, and they will be matched up against each other. And so right now, I think Angel Reese is the rival as from a storyline standpoint, but Paige can definitely be that from a matchup standpoint. But then Juju, when Juju gets here, I think she has the whole package to where she could rival Caitlyn Clark from being on the Olympics to commercials to different things and being able to get and have that notoriety. And so Drake was, and this is old, but to me, man, I just feel like it needs to be addressed. Drake, we got to stop. And Drake fans got to stop with this, because Drake has this thing that his fans and him are above reproach. And I hate that. Like, going into the Pusha T beef, Pusha T always said the reason why he went as far as he did is you brought up my wife. You didn't learn from that situation. Go into the beef with with Kendrick. He tells you, this is a friendly fade. We can keep it that way. I know some shit about niggas that make Gunna want to look like a saint. And what do? Start talking about his woman. He beats her. Dave Free, his manager, is really the father of his kids, and she been cheating with Dave Free. And then he responds, and now Kendrick is the bad guy. And so now, then a couple weeks ago, Drake seen at a Toronto Sacramento Kings game, mean mugging DeMar DeRozan. And it's like, I understand why you would feel some way, but to be sitting there acting like this tough guy, and it's like, I don't know if y'all know, but if you haven't, when you get the opportunity, just go Google people, the way people talk about DeMar DeRozan, whose nickname is Deebo. And he's also 6'7", 6'8", from Compton. Not to say that just because you're from the hood, that makes you tough. But this particular person we're talking about is not someone that is to be fucked with. So Drake, like Ice Cube said on Friday, man, sit your ass down. And so, with the last little bit of time I got left, I'm going to get this off my chest. Let me vent. People, it is all right to live however you want to live your life. But stop shaming people who have a difference in opinion. Women, if you like for your man to buy you expensive gifts, or if you tell him you're going to go to lunch and he send you a couple hundred for lunch, that's great. But also, if that man sends you $30 because what are you really eating that you spending anything more than $30 on lunch? Be grateful for the things that people do for you. I feel like in this day and society, we have this ungratefulness that I just very much dislike, and we shame people for a difference in opinion. Where there are some things that, when it comes to certain issues, yes, if you agree with this, that means you hate my group of people. I understand that, but then there's some things that are just strictly a difference in opinion, and that's where we need to get to as a society. And that's it. Thanks for letting me vent. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. And so, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, like, follow the He Said She Said channel on Facebook. Make sure you go follow JUK Network on Facebook. Once we get to 100 followers for JUK Network on Facebook, I'm going to switch everything all the way over from the He Said She Said channel to JUK Network. Make sure you go subscribe at JUK Network, JUK Network on YouTube. Follow us at JUK Sports Show, JUK Sports Show. On Instagram, you can follow me at KYNGRALPH. On TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, at an _ for X or Twitter. And I appreciate you. Shout out to them Golden Knights.